and welcome to Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars.
Hey guys, welcome back. Be sure to check out the show notes at the bottom of this recording because I usually have a lot of cute little tidbits along the way, and you also get to follow me on Instagram at Elizabeth Magical Garden. All the information will be down below. Hi, my name is Elizabeth from Elizabeth Magical Garden, a magical garden reaching for the stars, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. As I am sitting here in the beautiful outdoors and it's so gorgeous. I have my cup of coffee that I am nursing honey, but I wanted to take the time out to record this episode. You know, June is right around the corner, and I don't know if you are aware, but I am a June baby, and your girl birthday, by the grace of God, is right around the corner. So I want to make sure that you guys are nestled and have your episodes awaiting for you, guys. So May is practically done, right? And the summer is right around the corner, although the weather is, I don't know. This year is really different. Am I the only one? At first, I thought, is it me? Is it my temperature? Why is it that I still look like summer, spring, and fall? Right. And to the point where I started looking around to see how other people were dressing. And you know what? Didn't Nobody fell short of the same things. I feel like the weather nowadays is giving so many different elements, and I really believe it's because of the ozone layer. You remember back in the day, it was like, what was the big thing? Oh, it was when it was a discovery of a hole in the ozone layer. I remember being a young girl, and we all was like, oh my God, there's a hole in the ozone layer. Like, I don't know, if we knew what a ozone was, a layer of and I don't know if I still know what it is, but I do know it's layers that the earth is protected. I'm putting it in my, of course you could research this, but there's layers upon layers that separates us from the outer valleys of the world, the universe. I want to say. Now, I'm not putting it in. I'm not a scientist, but I will say that there is a breach. And through that breach allows other things, and it just changes the way the seasons. And this is why I really believe that, amongst other things, the temperature is just really weird. Anyway, guys, that's just a little rant. You know how I do. So I wanted to discuss some of the things that I've been noticing when it comes to gray hair. I know. Now, I have mentioned that I'm on my own gray hair journey. And I want to discuss some of the things that I notice, not only about myself, but also about others. It's so funny how community always find each other, right? No matter what you are into, if you are in the spiritual lane, you'll find other like-minded people or come across like-minded people. If you are a skater, you'll come across other skaters, and the list just goes on. So I say this all to say is that I feel like, because my gray is starting to show, I feel like I'm attracting other, or maybe I'm a little more hypersensitive to other people that have gray. I feel like that's what it is too, right? So now I would say my roots are kind of showing. They are showing depending on what area my hair is being parted. I'm realizing that a lot of the gray that I thought that I had was mostly in the middle of my head. The perimeter of my hair, which is my hairline, I would say, um
some salt and pepper. Sideburns definitely have salt and pepper, but like the front slowly but surely is creeping up, but not as much as I believed that it was gray. It's so funny when you color your hair and you see your roots, you really believe that, oh my God, my hair is white and I just have to color it. And then well, I'm speaking from my point of view. I believed when I stopped turning coloring my hair, I was just gonna go like just poof, just go gray. And it's so far from the truth. It's a slow but sure journey. Um and what I've realized and what I'm noticing about myself, number one, like I notice the color of my skin kind of changing, not being dull, but because there is no color, well, there is color. I still have black, but because of the gray is starting to be more prominent, I noticed that, it's to look a little more, dare I say, alive. Uh, Putting blush and adding color to my skin does wake up the my skin, so to speak. The other day I was out and about and I was like, you know what, let me put on a little bit of highlight, let me put on a little bit of a little concealer, just to bring a little color to my face. I don't wear makeup anymore really in the house. That was something that I used to do all the time. Really, it was a meditative situation. But now that my morning routine is pretty much the same but very different, um I don't really add that to my repertoire anymore. I know. I know. I really relish on just getting up, after I get up, take a shower, feed my fur babies, get on my yoga mat, have my session, and then dart outside with a cup of coffee. That's what it's been, especially now that the weather is nicer, dare I say. So I've been doing that and I don't put on makeup. I don't feel the need to have makeup on. I've been more of a healthy skin journey, although I was taking care of my skin even when I was wearing makeup. But for me now, especially as you start to get up in age, you want to take care of your skin. You want to make that, the center of your attention. So that's been my main objective to um allow my skin to breathe and the health of my skin. So I don't put anything that I don't need on my skin. And I will say that I see a major difference to when I actually do put on makeup. My mother used to say back in the day when I was a young girl, she would say to me, like there was certain hairstyles that I'm Haitian. So, well, I'm a Haitian American, but my family descended from Haiti. There would be certain hairstyles that I wanted to put on my hair. Like I love when my mother would put my hair in Shirley Temple curls, or she would not put it in braids and it would be out. So, my hair is flowing, I'm feeling myself, and I wanted that every day. And my mother would tell me, she would say, you know, you want to save certain things for when it's a special occasion. If you do these things every day, when you need it, you're not gonna look like anything. And what's so funny? The other day when I was putting on my makeup, I was like, "Oh," and it's because and that thought process came back to me. I was like, "Oh my God, mommy was right." When you do the same things, it's just like anything else. If you put on a fancy outfit every day, which you can put on a fancy outfit every day if that's what you choose, but in terms of this terminology, when it's time to, do something extravagant, you're gonna have to either like feel like you have to go even more over the top, or it's kind of like, you want to save certain things. So going back to the skin, when I did put on the makeup, I did see a difference, not only in my skin, but I also felt like I was doing something extra special. So I just want to share that with you guys. But with the gray, I noticed that I see Okay, I noticed that I see other gentlemen with gray hair. I see more grays in men. Men usually are more, how can I say, comfortable. I don't know about now because a lot of now, men are getting all they're getting the same things that women are getting. Okay. So I don't know for sure, but I do know for the most part, men, when you see a man with gray hair, they're looked upon as being distinguished, right? Whereas a woman with gray hair, she's like, like, what's going on? You need to get your hair done. And I never really understood that terminology. The closest thing that I can come up with is that I know in the what's that, in the 1800s, women, obviously we didn't have rights, and a lot of young women were sent off to get married to way older men. I mean, men that could have been their grandfathers, and the reason for that is because number one, they were well off, right? And then on top of that, they wanted these young girls because they were fruitful. They were able to have babies because you needed, to they didn't have like, I mean, they had other things. Okay. You know what I'm talking about. But the more the merrier, the more kids you had showed how affluent, you were, and you needed a young woman to not only have these babies but also to keep home, right? So I feel like although we live in the 20th century, we still have kind of like that you where it's like if you see a woman with gray hair, it's kind of like that undertone type of feel. Whereas a man with gray hair, again, it's not frowned upon as much, right? So I do see more men with like a salt and pepper, and I feel like it's distinguished. But I want to bring in to the diaspora women with gray hair. Now, I know for me, I had to legit work on my way of thinking when I decided to stop coloring my hair, like to the point where I was reading books. I had to seek out on Prince. I didn't have to. I chose. I was seeking on Pinterest. Pinterest is my thing. I seen so many women, affluent women, beautiful women with salt and pepper hair. Okay. And dare I say sexy. That gave me just put such a battery in my back. And yeah, I had to go out looking for it because it wasn't like just like walking all around me, because usually the women, that I seen that were gray were really older, like, in their 70s and their 80s. And dare I say, like, my mother still color her hair. Okay. So I didn't see, I didn't grow up seeing a lot of people that look like me with gray hair. Everybody's coloring their hair. And I want to say there's nothing wrong with coloring your hair. If that's where you are in your life and that's what you choose to do, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are thinking about it and you're under the sound of my voice, this might be a little nudge. You could always color your hair. And even for me, I am on this journey, but I'm not opposed to coloring my hair. Like if I chose to change my mind, if that's what the wind um took me, I don't know. I don't know if I would ever do it again, but I honestly I don't think I will. I don't think I will because that's what I say right now. I don't think I will, but again, I'm not opposed to it. My main thing, other than the health of my hair, I want to see how my gray looks. I'm curious. I don't like, there's no one in my family that I ever seen, color their hair. Even when my grandmother, God bless her spirit, was alive, she colored her hair forever, like, or wore a wig. She was very, as my mother would say, coquette. Okay. So me taking a plunge to do something like that has a lot to, you know, um, says a lot in more than a mouthful. So if you are the first person in your family to even think about not coloring your hair, you're not alone. So I had to seek out a lot of women. Well, I had to seek out. Also on YouTube, I seen a lot of women that were starting to be liberated and not color their hair. And again, this is something I had to look forward to. But I will say this: now that I'm, how can I say, I'm post four, going on 5 months, not coloring my hair. Let me see. Wait, January, all right, March, April. Oh, 4 months. I'm post 4 months of coloring my hair. Is June will be 5. What I've noticed about not only people around me but also myself, my confidence. What I didn't expect was the degree of how my confidence went up. Now, guys, self-work is, a real thing, but like something happened over, I would say, the last, I would say, 2 months. My confidence, guys, went through the roof. Like when I walk and when I'm shimmying with my salt and pepper a little bit, going through a couple of things that's happening. First of all, excuse me, I feel like I'm no longer hiding, right? I feel like, I am like, how can I say? I feel like I can now show that I have earned my chips. I have earned my space, okay? And I also feel like, people know what to do with you, right? And when I say people know what to do with you, meaning like, just like on a respect type of situation. And even when I see my peers, right? It's kind of like a head nod to each other. Like, okay, I see you, you see me, we see each other. And I feel like, especially as we tend to get up in age, especially people that's born in the 70s, 60s, right? During that time, during those years, a lot of things change, right? Music change, style change, people's point of views have changed dramatically from the heydays of the 30s, 40s, right? Even 50s. And now that we are here and we are quote unquote middle age, it can feel a little lost because I feel like people, I can only speak for myself, but I feel like people that has been I feel like people that has been born in the 70s, we're still like kids. We're still like, we have this ability to like still be cool, still be fly. Like the only thing that's which is a big change, changing is the age, but we still have a lot of our notions, right? And I feel like it's important to let that flyness, like one would say, let your freak fly. You know, I don't care that I'm going to be 52. You know what I mean? I'm still going to wear what I want to wear. I'm going to look like how I want to look. I'm going to do what I want to do. And it's so funny because I believe that I mentioned in previous episodes that I am learning how to sew. I'm revisiting an old passion that I let fall to the wayside many, many moons ago because I chose to raise my son at the time. And it's no shade or whatever the situation is. It's just that at that time, I just wanted to really, delve in, and pursuing a fashion career and raising a child at that time was a no-go for me. With that being said, God is going to always give you what you were really meant to have. I always believe that. And so the passion and the love that I have for garments has never ceased. But now that I'm on the other side, creating learning to create silhouettes for myself is just magical of its own. Right now, I'm learning how to create my own bodice. Right now I'm in the middle of creating my own sloper, And that is a whirlwind of its own. It's not that it's so hard, but it's that it's so hard because any miss angle, you're not going to get the fit that you want. So for me, I knew that off the rip I wanted to create a sloper for myself because I want anytime I create, and what a sloper is for those who doesn't know, it's a it's a copy of your basically your body measurements. So it's a particular flat surface, or it could be you could use a muslin. It's the same thing, and you create a sculpt of the shape of your body, a kind of roundabout. And what happens is anytime you are about to create anything that you want, you use that sloper, those measurements that you took of yourself to create those pieces, if that makes any sense. So I'm in the middle of that. And what I will say is that I don't know. I feel like because I allow my gray to show, for me, I'm forced to work on other areas because now it's more prominent. Because yes, when you are gray, you don't want to look dated. You don't want to look like, I mean, if you don't, some people don't care. For me, I care. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not coloring my hair. So what is the emphasis that I would like to play up? My style. Um, I like to play up my style. I always was like that, but now I feel even more so because now I don't have the hair to lean on, because I did mention that I haven't been wearing the weaves and the extensions. I've taken a long break from that. I'm not saying that I will never do those things. And I want to be clear, I'm not pooing on anybody that chooses to partake in these things. I feel like self expression is exactly what it is. It's self expression. But I also feel like there is a healthy mindset when it comes to aging, and not masking those things says a lot about the way we approach this mindset, because it allows you to see yourself in your trueness, and also um have, or I should say, and also cultivate a sense of acceptance, because self acceptance is a real thing. When you are able to accept what you see in the mirror, you become so powerful, guys. And I feel like this is why my self esteem went up. I didn't even know that. Because think about it. If you always are running to cover up something, right? Like, even in the Bible, when I believe Adam and Eve, they ate that, quote unquote, the story goes, they ate the apple, and then they immediately started hiding from each other. They got leaves to cover up. And when God came to, he was looking for them, and they were hiding from him. And he was like, why are you hiding? And they said, because they're naked. And he said, who told you that you were naked? So there's a sense of shame that's always uh linked to covering something, right? In a sense, right? It could be a mixture of things, because people, I tend to cover my hair. I wear head wraps 90% of the times. Number one, I love to protect my hair, right? But what I noticed, I was wearing head wraps even when I wore weave. So that was like messing with me. I'm like, okay, how many things you got on top of your head, girl? You got the weave, you got the covering to protect your hair from the weave. Then you got a wrap. It's too much, right? Let's bring down the numbers. But I always feel like head wraps for me is not only a protective situation, it's also a sacred thing. When babies are born, one of the first things that you want to do is cover their head, because the mold on their head is still, their skull is still not closed, so they still have that tender part. So you want to keep that covered. And I personally believe that spiritually there is a link, and there's a protective layer there. I feel like the fact that when you get cold, you lose 90%, I may have the numbers wrong, but like 90% of the heat comes from your head, your hands, and from your feet. Why, I can go on and on about my notions about that, but covering your head has always been a big thing. In many religions, you see them cover their head. This is not a mistake, but I dial back. I digress. Okay. When you are covering, a lot of times, it's almost like there's a shame stigma attached to it. And I feel like because I stopped coloring my hair, I was able to release myself in a sense from that way of thinking, unbeknownst to me. Unbeknownst to me. And it just goes to show you, like, even like the young girlies, right? I feel like I feel like a lot of the times, and this is just my opinion, this is something that I have been noticing and I also noticed in myself. When I was when I was putting on weaves and wigs, right? One of the things I noticed about myself, as soon as I took off the weave, as soon as I took off the wig, it was self-loathing. Oh my God, I got to get my hair done. Oh my God, my hair looks awful. Why am I speaking so bad about myself? Why was I speaking so negative about my naturalness, my natural hair? Well, there's a psychologically something happens to you. If you're always changing a style, and you are now used to seeing yourself in another way, that is a big shock. It is a big shock when you take those weaves and those wigs off. If nobody said it, I'm saying it. Okay. Can I get an amen? For the people in the back, amen. Because when you take it off, the facade is gone, right? Your attitude changes. You, when you see, you can even go see for yourself. People, when they take off the wig, a lot of women, when they take off the wigs and the weave, even their attitudes are different. They tend to sound more somber. It's like somebody's, it's like invasion of the body snatchers. Like somebody took their confidence. Where's that boisterous person? I have seen so many young women, the way they start when they come into the beauty salon and when they go, and now of course, who doesn't like, of course, your confidence runs sky high when you get your hair done, whether it's with extensions or not. Okay, you just feel you're a baddie, you just feel good regardless of the fact, right? But what I'm shedding light on is how we tend to view ourselves when we no longer have these attachments, right? And I feel like because I forced myself to see myself in a particular way, in the way that is natural for myself, I had to be okay with it. I had to learn to become okay with it. Now, this is something that I always loved to play with, even when I was in my 20s. I feel like this is just like, I like to play these games with myself, like to force myself to always love me. I remember back in the day when I first started getting my locks. Oh my God. I believe I was in my early 30s. And I locked my hair twice. My first go round, oh my God, my hair was such a phenomenal thing. Like, oh my God, your hair is so long, it's so pretty. This, that, and the third. I got so tired of, like, I just felt like I wanted to release myself. I wanted to release that connection of who my personally was to my hair, because it was such a hold on me. Like, I had to always show up with this magnificent looking hair. And if I didn't, it was like, oh my God, are you okay? Are you having a good day? And I hated that. So one of the things I did was free myself. Hey guys, leave a comment, a review, preferably 5 stars. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram, because what is popping over there? And also check out my YouTube channel to stay connected and see your girl's lovely face. Guys, I love you so much. Keep on pushing And I'll definitely speak to you soon. Be blessed.